There's a silent battle that most of us fight every single day. It's not against a boss, a partner, or the world. It's the war inside. The feeling that you're living life with the brakes on, constantly pushing against a current that seems to be flowing from within your own chest. You want peace, but your mind is a storm. You want clarity, but your thoughts are a fog. You want to move forward, but you feel anchored by a version of yourself you no longer recognize, a collection of old habits, unspoken fears, and decisions made from a place of survival, not strength. You look at your life and wonder why it feels so heavy, why every step feels like an uphill climb. What if the friction you feel isn't the world pushing against you, but you pushing against yourself? What if the universe isn't chaotic, but your inner world is? Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who commanded armies yet spent his quiet hours commanding his own mind, left us a key, a simple, universe-altering truth. He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe. This isn't just a beautiful quote. It's a diagnosis and a prescription. It's the answer to the exhaustion you feel, the harmony you're chasing out there in that next achievement, that next relationship, that next distraction doesn't exist out there. It's an inside job. It's the quiet, deliberate, often difficult work of aligning your inner world so that the outer world finally starts to make sense. This is the path from chaos to clarity. It's not about changing the world, it's about changing the way you meet it. And that changes everything. If this quest for inner alignment resonates with the part of you that knows there's a different way to live, a quieter, more powerful way, do me one simple favor. Hit that subscribe button. It's a click for you, but it tells me you're ready to stop fighting the storm and start becoming the calm within it. Let's begin the real work. The first step to building this inner harmony is to face the loudest voice you know, your own inner narrator. For most people, the mind isn't a sanctuary. It's a courtroom where you are both the prosecutor and the defendant, and the verdict is almost always guilty. That voice, the one that replays your mistakes on a loop, that criticizes you for not being enough, that whispers your worst fears right before you fall asleep, that isn't you. It's a pattern. A program installed long ago, designed to keep you safe by keeping you small. But safety is not the same as freedom, and that voice is the warden of a prison you didn't even realize you were in. Socrates taught that the unexamined life is not worth living. Most of us don't examine our thoughts, we obey them. A thought appears, I'm not good enough for this. They're going to find out I'm a fraud. I'm going to fail, and we treat it like a prophecy. We don't question its origin or its validity. We just believe it. And when you believe a thought, you live it. Your body tenses, your confidence shrinks, and your actions begin to align with the failure you've already accepted as fact. This is not living in harmony. This is living in tyranny, ruled by the ghosts of your own unexamined mind. The Stoics offered a different way. They practiced the art of separating thoughts from reality. Epictetus reminded his students that it's not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Your thought is not the event. Your fear is not the reality. It is just a cloud passing through the sky of your awareness. Harmony begins the moment you stop identifying with the clouds and start identifying with the sky. You are the observer, not the storm. This is a radical shift. It's the difference between being drowned by a wave and learning how to surf. Carl Jung spoke of the shadow, the parts of ourselves we deny and repress. That inner critic is often a part of our shadow. We try to fight it, to argue with it, to suppress it. But as Jung wisely said, what you resist persists. You cannot win a war against your own mind. You can only understand it. The practice isn't to silence the critic, but to stop giving it the microphone. You hear it, you acknowledge it. Ah, there's that old story again. And then you deliberately turn your focus to a different voice. The quieter one, the one that says, what if I can? What is the next right step? I've survived harder things than this. This is not about toxic positivity. It's about conscious choice. It's about becoming the curator of your own mind. You wouldn't let a stranger walk into your home and insult you all day, so why do you allow these thoughts to live in your head rent-free? The work is to build a new habit, the habit of observation without absorption. You sit with your thoughts like you're watching a river. Some are murky, some are clear. You just watch them flow by without jumping in. In that space, that quiet pause between the thought and your reaction, you find your power. That's where harmony is born. It's the gentle, firm decision to say, I hear you, but I am the one in command here. You are not the noise. You are the stillness beneath it. And the more you practice residing in that stillness, the less the noise of the world and your own mind can throw you off balance. Harmony isn't just a state of mind, it's a state of action. It's the alignment between the person you claim to be and the person you are when nobody's watching. So many of us live with a painful gap between our values and our habits. We say we value health, but we numb ourselves with distraction and poor choices. We say we value connection, but we hide behind screens and surface-level conversations. We say we value peace, but our days are filled with reactive drama and self-imposed urgency. This disconnect, this internal hypocrisy, is a profound source of psychic pain. It's a quiet, slow-burning fire of self-betrayal. You can't be at peace with yourself if you're constantly acting against your own principles. Aristotle believed that excellence is not an act, but a habit. He taught that we are what we repeatedly do. Your character isn't defined by one grand gesture of integrity, but by the thousand small choices you make every single day. The choice to tell the truth when a white lie would be easier. The choice to keep a promise to yourself, even when you're tired. The choice to walk away from gossip, even when it's tempting. These moments feel small, but they are the building blocks of a harmonious soul. Each time you align your action with your stated value, you cast a vote for the person you want to become. You close the gap. This is where the Stoic concept of living in accordance with nature becomes so powerful. It doesn't mean living in the woods. It means living in accordance with your own true nature, your rational, virtuous, higher self. When your actions contradict your values, you are living out of harmony with your own nature. It creates an inner friction, a sense of being an imposter in your own life. You feel it as a vague anxiety, a restlessness you can't quite name. It's the feeling of knowing you could be more, but settling for less. The process of closing this gap is not about shame, it's about awareness. Start by getting brutally honest about one area where your actions and values are misaligned. Just one. Maybe you say you value presence, but you spend your evenings scrolling, your mind a million miles away from your life. The work isn't to perfectly overhaul your life overnight. The work is to make one different choice. Tonight, put the phone down for 30 minutes. Be present with your meal, with a book, with the silence. Feel the discomfort. Feel the urge to reach for the distraction. Breathe through it. That is the work. That is you, in real time, choosing your values over your conditioning. Plato, in his allegory of the cave, described prisoners who mistook shadows on a wall for reality. Our habits, when they are out of alignment with our soul, are those shadows. We mistake the temporary comfort of a bad habit for real peace. We mistake the distraction for joy. But true joy, the kind the Greeks called eudaimonia, is a deeper state of flourishing that only comes from living a life of virtue and purpose. It's the profound sense of rightness that settles in your bones when you know you are living your truth. Don't underestimate the power of these small, corrective actions. Each one rebuilds self-trust. When you trust yourself, you stop looking for external validation. You no longer need the world to tell you you're on the right path because you can feel it. The sense of inner conflict begins to dissolve. The restlessness is replaced by a quiet, grounded confidence. You walk differently. You speak differently. You are no longer a house divided against itself. You are becoming whole. This is the harmony of action. It's not about being perfect. It's about being honest and then taking the next small step to honor that honesty. A core tenet of Stoicism, and a non-negotiable principle for inner harmony, is understanding what you can control and what you cannot. So much of our anxiety, frustration, and suffering comes from trying to manage the unmanageable. We try to control other people's opinions. We try to control the outcome of our efforts. We try to control the future. We wrestle with reality, trying to bend it to our will, and then we wonder why we're so exhausted. It's like trying to command the tides. You can scream at the ocean all you want. It will do what it will do. The harmony isn't found in controlling the ocean. It's found in learning to build a boat that can navigate it. Epictetus, who was born a slave and rose to become a revered philosopher, built his entire philosophy around this concept, which he called the dichotomy of control. He taught that some things are up to us and some are not. Up to us are our judgments, our impulses, our desires, our actions, our inner world. Not up to us are our bodies, our possessions, our reputations, the actions of others, the outer world. He said the secret to a good life was simple. Focus all of your energy on what is up to you and cultivate a serene acceptance of what is not. When you internalize this, your life transforms. You stop wasting precious energy on things that were never yours to command. Someone insults you. Their words and opinions are not in your control. Your response, however, is entirely in your control. Do you react with anger or do you respond with indifference, recognizing their words say more about them than about you? A project fails. The market, the economy, the timing, these are external. Your effort, your integrity, and your willingness to learn from the failure, those are yours. This is where your power lies, not in never facing storms, but in being the unshakable captain of your own ship when the storms hit. Living in harmony with the universe means accepting that the universe is not always going to give you what you want. It will rain on your wedding day. You will face injustice. You will lose people you love. These are features of reality, not bugs. The Stoics used the phrase amor fati, a love of fate. It's not a passive resignation. It's an active, enthusiastic embrace of whatever happens, good or bad, as necessary and part of a larger whole. It's the profound trust that even the things that feel like obstacles are part of your path. Think of how much mental real estate is occupied by worrying about things you can't change. The past is one of them. We replay it, regret it, wish it were different. But the past is outside of your control. It is as fixed as the stars. Your judgment about the past, however, is within your control. Can you see it not as a source of shame, but as a training ground that forged the strength you have today? Carl Jung taught that our wounds can become sources of our greatest wisdom. You can't change the wound, but you can change what it means. You can alchemize your pain into power. This practice requires daily vigilance. When you feel anxiety rising, pause and ask, is the source of this feeling within my control or outside of it? If it's outside your control, another person's behavior, a future uncertainty, then your work is to practice letting go. Breathe. Remind yourself, this is not mine to carry. If the source is within your control, your reaction, your preparation, your next choice, then your work is to act with virtue and courage. This simple sorting mechanism is the key to reclaiming your peace. You stop fighting battles that can't be won and focus your strength where it actually matters. This is living in harmony with reality. You don't demand that the world be different. You become the kind of person who can thrive in the world as it is. The world will tell you to hide your flaws, to present a polished, curated, perfect version of yourself. It sells you filters for your photos and scripts for your life. But there is no magnetism in perfection. Perfection is sterile, unrelatable, and ultimately fake. The people who are truly unforgettable, the ones whose presence lingers long after they've left the room, are the ones who have the courage to be whole, not perfect. They have embraced their entire story, the triumphs, the failures, the scars, the quirks. They live in harmony with themselves because they have stopped pretending to be anyone else. Carl Jung's entire life's work revolved around the concept of individuation, the journey of becoming your authentic self by integrating all the parts you've been taught to hide. This includes the shadow, which holds our insecurities, our past shames, and our untamed impulses. Society tells us to lock the shadow in the basement, but Jung taught that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. True harmony is not the absence of darkness, it's the integration of it. It's looking at your flaws and saying, "This is also me, and I am not ashamed." Think about the people you are most drawn to. Are they the ones with flawless lives, or are they the ones who are honest about their struggles, the ones who can laugh at their own mistakes, the ones who admit they don't have it all figured out? We connect through our imperfections. Our vulnerability is the bridge. When you have the courage to show your cracks, you give others permission to be human too. That is a gift. That is what creates real, lasting connection. Hiding your flaws doesn't make you strong, it makes you guarded. Owning them makes you invincible, because then no one can use them against you. The Stoics, too, understood this. Seneca wrote, "No man was ever wise by chance. Wisdom is earned, often through the very mistakes and hardships we're tempted to erase from our history. Your past failures are not a liability, they are a library of lessons. When you accept them as part of your journey, you extract the wisdom and release the shame. You realize that your scars are not signs of damage, but proof of healing. They are a testament to the fact that you were wounded, but you did not break. That resilience is far more attractive than a life untouched by struggle." So how do you begin to embrace your whole self? You start by telling yourself the truth. You stop the performance. In your journal, in quiet reflection, in conversations with trusted friends, you start to speak about the things you thought made you less than. You talk about the fear, the time you failed, the insecurity that still creeps in. And a funny thing happens when you bring these things into the light. They lose their power. Shame, like a vampire, cannot survive in the daylight of acceptance. This doesn't mean broadcasting your every insecurity to the world. It means being honest with yourself first, and then choosing to be authentic with the people who have earned the right to see the real you. It's the quiet confidence of knowing your own worth isn't diminished by your imperfections. In fact, it's deepened by them. It makes you more compassionate, more relatable, more human. You stop living in fear of being found out, because there is nothing to hide. You are you in your entirety. When you reach this state of self-acceptance, you begin to radiate a peace that is profoundly attractive. It's the peace of someone who is no longer at war with themselves. That is the harmony of being whole. In our modern world, silence is an endangered species. Our lives are a constant stream of noise, notifications, news cycles, podcasts, endless chatter. We fill every spare moment with input, terrified of what we might find if we were left alone with just our own thoughts. We have been conditioned to believe that productivity is motion and stillness is waste. But the great thinkers knew the opposite to be true. Stillness is not emptiness. It is the prerequisite for clarity. You cannot hear the whispers of your own soul if you are constantly shouting over them. Living in harmony with yourself requires that you learn to befriend the silence. It is in the quiet moments that the truth rises. When you're not distracted by external stimuli, your inner world comes into focus. You start to notice the subtle anxieties you've been numbing. You start to hear the quiet desires you've been ignoring. You untangle the knots of your day and begin to see things as they really are, not just as your reactive mind painted them. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, made time for this every single day. He wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." He understood that power wasn't about commanding the world. It was about the ability to retreat inward and find your center, even in the midst of chaos. This is not about meditating for hours on a mountaintop. It can start with just 5 minutes. 5 minutes in the morning before you pick up your phone. 5 minutes during a lunch break, sitting in your car without the radio on. 5 minutes before bed, just breathing and being. At first, it will feel uncomfortable. Your mind, addicted to stimulation, will rebel. It will throw a tantrum of thoughts at you, to-do lists, worries, replays of conversations. This is normal. The practice is not to fight these thoughts, but to let them be, to simply observe them without getting swept away. This is the training. Aristotle called contemplation the highest form of human activity. Why? Because when you are not busy reacting to the world, you get to choose how you respond to it. In that sacred pause between stimulus and response, you find your freedom and your wisdom. You start making decisions from a place of grounded clarity, not from a place of panic or impulse. This stillness recalibrates your nervous system. It lowers the stress hormone cortisol and allows for the rise of chemicals that promote calm and focus. It's not just a spiritual practice, it's a biological necessity that we've forgotten. Carl Jung observed that loneliness does not come from having no people about one, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to oneself. Often, the reason we can't communicate these things is that we haven't spent enough quiet time with ourselves to even know what they are. Solitude is where you get to know yourself again. It's where you separate your voice from the echo of other people's expectations. It's where you check in and ask, how am I really? What do I truly need? Don't let anyone make you feel strange for carving out this time. In a world that glorifies being busy, choosing stillness is a revolutionary act of self-respect. Your alone time isn't empty. It's where you recharge your energy, sharpen your intuition, and build the kind of unshakable inner peace that can't be bought. The universe, in its grand design, is full of cycles of activity and rest, noise and silence. To live in harmony with it, you must honor those same rhythms within yourself. Find your stillness, protect it, for in the quiet you will not find nothingness, you will find you. And when you are in harmony with yourself, you carry that peace with you, turning every room you enter into a sanctuary. To summarize, the harmony you seek is not a destination you arrive at, but a way of being you cultivate moment by moment. It's the continuous, courageous work of turning inward. As Marcus Aurelius taught us, the entire universe is change, and our life is what our thoughts make it. The power to live in harmony with that ever-changing universe does not come from controlling the world outside, but from mastering the world within. It begins with commanding your inner dialogue, choosing to be the calm observer of your thoughts rather than a slave to their storms. It is fortified by aligning your daily actions with your deepest values, closing the painful gap between who you say you are and how you actually live. It is deepened by embracing the Stoic wisdom of focusing only on what you can control, your own responses, and accepting the rest with a peaceful heart. This harmony becomes unshakable when you have the courage to own your entire story, integrating your flaws and failures not as sources of shame, but as the very experiences that forged your strength and wisdom. Finally, it is sustained by the sacred practice of finding stillness in the noise, creating the quiet space necessary to hear your own truth above the clamor of the world. This is the path. It is not easy, but it is real. It is the journey from being a reactor to being a creator, from being a leaf blown about by the winds of circumstance to being the deeply rooted tree that can withstand any weather. When you are at peace with yourself, you are no longer fighting reality. You begin to move with it, to dance with it. You see the challenges not as punishments, but as opportunities. You see the beauty not just in the peaks, but in the valleys. You stop needing the world to be a certain way to feel okay because your peace is generated from within. It is sovereign. It is yours. And when you carry that kind of harmony inside you, the universe doesn't just feel less chaotic. It feels like home.